I'm going to continue because I did promise the woman that was on that we'd talk specifically about Moraine again. If you need to drop off, feel free. I won't be offended. You'll be able to go back and watch the rest on the replay, but you're welcome to stick around and ask questions. Alicia, did you have a question?
No, I'm good, but I may disappear because I got to get some sleep at some point. But
Yeah, okay, not a problem. I do too. I'll try and go fast, but I don't want to skimp on anything. So the Moraine bike course, the sprint is about 12 miles. The Olympic is about 24 miles. The Olympic is 2 laps of this, and it's very, very hilly. It's away from the shore of the lake, and when you get away from the shore, you can see that this part of the course here is crossing over several of these contour lines, lots of up and down. In my recollection and my interpretation, there are like 3 big hills on the course. Um, there's a lot of hills, but there's 3 that feel really big to me. And here's the elevation. So you can see this is coming out of transition. There's a big hill. At the end of the very first turnaround, there's a very steep hill. Coming back to the midpoint of the course is another steep hill. And so there's a couple of big ones in there. There's some things that you can do. There's plenty of time. 3.5 weeks is plenty of time to do a couple of these specifically for fitness and to get stronger. Even just one of these is a really nice dose of fitness, and you will feel a difference, you know, 2, 3, 4 days later or the next week. If you do just one of these, you will feel stronger within a couple days. If you can fit in one of these a week, one for the bike, one for the run, each week or alternate weeks depending on your current fitness and skill level, this will help you for the race. So building strength for hills. Hill workout is quote unquote a hard workout. So we were thinking on that zone where it's a shorter effort. It's going to feel hard. You should feel muscular burning. You should feel breathing heavy. You should feel like, maybe your posture is starting to sway or break down a little bit near the end of it. It's going to be broken up into little sections. In between, you should feel like you have enough recovery to repeat it again. So you don't want to go, you know, guns blazing for the first interval and then barely finish the last one. You want to moderate your effort so that it's a steady effort across all the intervals, but strong for each one. So this is just an example, 4 to 6 repeats of 2 minutes uphill. Depending on where you live, you may or may not have a nice 2 minute hill. Some hills are too steep to do a 2 minute hard effort just because it's too steep. Around Pittsburgh, you should be able to find a lot of hills where it's moderate enough that you can do 2 minutes. It's actually hard to find a 5 minute hill in Pittsburgh that you can go hard for 5 minutes unless you're like up in the mountains in the Allegheny Mountains. It's just that Pittsburgh has a lot of rolling hills. They're shorter and steeper. So there's a double asterisk here. There could be 3 seconds up to 5 minutes, and you can still call it a hill workout. So it should be hard, steady, and controlled. Turn around, recover easy. In between, you want to have at least um, for a hard workout, I would say at least a minute up to 3 minutes between your hard efforts so that you can regenerate another hard effort. If you shorten the rest too much, if you try to do 2 minutes uphill, fly down back down the hill on your bike, and it's only been a 30-second recovery, and you do it again, you're actually turning what should be a hard workout into one of those sustained workouts. You're just compressing the efforts too close to get enough recovery. Um, Make sure that you do a good warm up, 10 to 15 minutes, and then afterwards, cool down very easy until you feel your heart rate coming down, you feel your breathing coming down, and you can sing a song. It helps ease off on those stress hormones. If you stop suddenly, you can remain activated with high adrenaline and high cortisol for much longer, and it can take longer to recover from something like that. So convert this to run just by substituting a bike hill for a run hill. Run hill doesn't need to be as long because you're not going as fast. And if 2 minutes seems hard, make it 30 seconds, make it 20 seconds, and just experiment this. But see if you can get in one of these this week and see how it feels. And then you can decide you want to repeat the same thing next week, or do you want to change something? Do you want to make it shorter? Did it feel easy? You want to make the interval longer? Um, I've got a hill by my house that's a perfect 30-second interval. And it's like the middle 2 blocks from my house. So if I wanted a 45-second interval, I go down a block. If I want a full minute, I just go from the bottom of the hill to the top of the hill. So it's a nice steepness, took me a long time to realize that that hill was great and it's only a block from my house. So you may explore a little bit in your area to find something that's going to work for this type of hill workout.
Could you, before you move on, could you cover the formula again, just to make sure I got it right in my head?
Yeah, actually, I think this might be in the, let me, yeah, that's in the advanced one that you've seen. But so the formula, so um, warm up is part of the formula, 10 to 15
Hmm.
minutes easy. Slowly
Hmm.
get your heart rate up.
Hmm.
Cool down is the other side. Those are the two pieces of
Hmm.
the sandwich. The middle
Hmm.
part of your sandwich, it's like a layer cake. It's like a, a wedding cake. You've
Hmm.
got each layer is going to be an interval. And the number of layers is the number of intervals. So a fancy wedding cake, it might be 10 tiers high, right?
Hmm.
And it might have, you know, raspberry filling in between each layer of vanilla. So you can think about it in a similar way. The meaty parts of it are going to be the work interval. So that
Hmm.
work interval is the layer. It can be anywhere from 30 seconds up to 5 minutes for hills. 5 minutes is a really long hill. May not sound like it, but probably 30 seconds to 2 minutes. And you can divide it up any way you want. 30
Hmm.
seconds, 40 seconds, 45 seconds, a minute 15.
Gotcha. So you're saying 4 to 6 layers in this formula specifically of 30 to 5 minutes, 30 seconds to 5 minutes. Is that
Right.
right?
Yep. Pick one for the
Got it.
first time.
Got it.
So six six repetitions
Hmm.
of a 30-second
Hmm.
strong hill. So not a sprint.
Hmm.
Run strongly for 30 seconds and then do your recovery. So
Hmm.
easy recovery back down is the marmalade layer in between the icing layer between the layers, between the cake. Right. And then that repeats. So you stack them on top of each other. So 30 seconds hard, turn around, walk down, or ride back down. If you need more recovery, just pace back and forth. Um,
Okay.
I think when I did this the first time when I discovered this hill, I think it was 6 by 30 seconds. And I think it was a minute recovery. So I would walk back down the hill and then I had like another 15 seconds and then I'd go again. At the end of that sixth interval, you should feel like you did a really good chunk of 18 minutes of work,
Hmm.
whatever the numbers add up to. 30 second
Hmm.
hill, minute recovery, that's 90 seconds times six. So I was way off. 6.5 minutes, whatever. Whatever that
Uh-huh.
time chunk is, you should
Hmm.
visualize that it's a steady effort, effort here, little recovery, back same place, little recovery, back same place.
Okay.
If you finish that and you're done and it didn't feel hard at the
Hmm.
end of it, then you went too easy.
Hmm.
If you started and you did a hill effort here, you did a recovery, and then your next one is here, and you did a recovery, and your last one's here, then you started too hard.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think I've been doing too hard because by the third that I've been doing has been like not as pretty, I
Mm.
guess I would say.
Yeah, yeah, they should all be the same amount of pretty,
Okay.
which means the first one usually feels pretty easy.
Hmm.
And so you just learn by experimentation.
Hmm. Okay. All right. Oh, that gives me something to work towards. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, good. And then the cool down, I mentioned that.
Yep. Yep.
All right. And so this is a second type of hill workout. This is much more of a skill and a sort of mental approach, how to think about riding a hilly course. And this
Hmm.
is really, really important for Moraine. And Alicia, you can practice this around your house easily. And Ed, I know that you're going up to Moraine and you can practice this. The idea of flattening the hill means that you want to minimize the changes in your effort throughout the race. So if you go really hard and then coast down easy, and then really hard up, and then coast down easy, and then really hard up, that might be a good interval workout, but you don't want to race your race that way. Every time you go harder than your sustained effort, which is how most people ride a hill, most people go harder to get up to the top of a hill. But every time you exceed your sustainable effort for X period of time, 20-mile ride, whatever your sustained hardest effort for a continuous 20 miles, every time you exceed that, you're burning matches from your matchbox. You've got a certain number of matches in a matchbook. Every time you go hard up a hill, you burn a match and you throw it away. And as you do that throughout the race, you just keep burning matches. How many matches do you have? You don't know until you sort of practice and experiment with this. Some people have a very short, very few matches in their match book. Other people have a lot of matches. Some people don't really have like matches that burn brightly. They might have something that sparks and then it's done, right? So their hard efforts are little tiny efforts, and it's not much harder than a sustainable effort. Some people have lots of hard efforts in their bodies. Some people only have a handful. Um, but every time you go hard up a hill, you burn a match. So you want to think about saving your matches and spreading your energy out, which means that when you go uphill during a race, you don't want to go hard. You want to go moderate. Not saying you have to go easy up a hill, but if you shift to an easier gear, even your easiest gear, try to keep your legs on the bike spinning at the same cadence as downhill.
Mhm.
Depends what kind of gearing you have on your bike. Some bikes you just can't do this. You're sort of forced to use a harder gear, but there are plenty of bikes. People do Moraine on a mountain bike, and these
Mhm.
people just like spin up the hill past me, and I'm like, "Argh." But my road bike is not designed that way.
Yeah.
You maintain, you maintain your effort rather than the speed. So don't be looking at your speedometer um,
Mhm.
going up the hill. Pay attention to your effort. Pay attention to how your legs feel. When you feel that burny sensation, you're probably going too hard. Crest smoothly over the hill, and then you can regain your rhythm on the downhill and put a little more effort into it so that over the course of the hilly race, your effort is only modulating a little bit,
Mhm.
right? Your feeling is modulating a little bit. Your speed is going to be very different. You're going to be really fast on the downhills and really slow on the uphills. And so it feels like you're not working hard enough because you see that you're going 3 miles an hour up a hill.
Mhm.
But if you try and go 10 miles an hour up that hill, you're burning lots of matches, and then you might not have enough matches to finish. When I did the Jenny Lee Super Sprint Triathlon in June,
Mhm.
I find this is my fourth year of getting back into racing triathlons. I didn't really make a conscious decision. I think my body just sort of knew what to expect. I wanted to have a really good run. It's a hilly run, and so I limited my effort on the bike ride. I was slower on the bike than I had been on any previous race I did there, but I had a PR on the race overall, and I had a PR on my run. So I, quote unquote, flattened my hills by going very easy uphill and just trying to stay steady as much as I could for the whole course. And I
Mhm.
ended up having more energy left for the run, and as a result, my whole race was faster. So this is the second type of hill workout.
Mhm.
Practice flattening the hills. If you're running, that means shorter strides, shorter steps, and trying to keep your cadence up, not plodding up a hill or pushing up a hill really hard like you're bounding up stairs. Short
Mhm.
steps, little forward lean, be totally fine with looking ridiculous running uphill at 1.5 mile an hour or whatever it is.
Fear of looking silly? Yeah, no, nothing. Don't know anything about it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Look silly. Look silly. Oops. Where am I? All right.
Hey,
Yeah.
I can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah.
So when I'm going up the hills, I feel like I'm on, well, no, I know that I'm on the lowest gear, but I feel like it's hot. You know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
so, and then when I'm going downhill, I'm going so fast, I
Mhm.
can't even get into pedaling. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
Yep.
I hear what you're saying about flattening the hills, but I'm like,
Yep.
okay, I don't feel like I have much control over either one of those things.
Yeah. And so that has to do with your bike and with the size of the gears on your bike and with
Hmm.
how many gears you have on your bike. What kind of a bike is it?
Mine is a road bike and it's a race bike. Like it's not the top line. It's
Mhm.
I forget. It was my husband's first tri bike. I'm trying to think
Okay.
of what it is. But because I've been practicing with the gearing,
Yeah.
so I'm not sure what to do.
Yeah. So I mean, it sounds kind of like me when I go up hills. I mean, I grind up the hills at Moraine. My cadence at Moraine up those hills is 30.
Hmm.
Like it's ridiculous. I should be falling over. But on my bike, that's my only choice. I deliberately bought a bike when I bought this bike. It's like 10 years old. It's a road racing bike.
Hmm.
And for a hilly course, a road bike, triathlon bike, there's no benefit to an aerodynamic triathlon bike on a really hilly course. But when I bought it, I deliberately bought a certain size range of the cog, the rear wheel cog.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the smaller the cogs in the back,
Right.
the harder it is to pedal. So if you're on a flat, if you're racing on a flat, if you're going downhill, you want some little tiny gears so that you can really,
Right.
put a lot of effort into the flats. But what it means is that when you're going up hills, if your smallest gear is still too small, it's just going to be hard. So
Right.
before I started my first race a couple years ago, I took it to a bike shop that a friend of mine had, and I had him order the biggest rear cassette that he could.
Mm-hmm.
But the size of that biggest rear gear was limited by the size of my derailleur, which is this
Okay.
loaded part of the bike that lets it shift. So a long derailleur is more likely to have problems, is more likely to bend and wiggle and get bent, literally bent out of shape.
Mm-hmm.
Very common for mountain bikes because they need a lot more range.
Right.
Road racing bike, a short derailleur is less maintenance, fewer things to
Mm-hmm.
go wrong, but it limits the size, it limits the easy cog in the back. So I'm stuck with what I have unless I want to not buy a new bike.
Right. Right.
And the reverse for the front, there's a little more range in the front because you can get a really big ring to go fast down hills and then a really small ring in the front. But then you've got the combinations. If there's a big difference between the big cog and the little cog, then the combinations when you pair the front and the rear bike, you're going to end up with some like bigger skips between, like not smooth shifting.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It does, but I'm such a person, it's more in practice that I
Mhm.
learn.
Yeah, no, that's
So, you know
fine.
what I'm saying? So I'm just trying to picture everything because I'm still learning the mechanics of the bike,
Yeah.
because I've always ridden bikes, but I've never been concerned with how they work,
Yeah.
and now I am. So I'm just because honestly going downhill,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm more managing my brake than I am
Okay.
anything else. Do you know what I'm saying? Because I'm like,
Mhm.
I don't want to start wobbling.
Yeah. Yeah. And without riding with you and seeing how you ride, it's hard for me to like give you
Sure.
real advice. I would be surprised if it was your husband's old race bike, I would be surprised if it doesn't have appropriate gearing where an experienced cyclist could like get into a good gear and pedal downhill.
Right.
But I don't know your fitness. I don't know your background. I
Sure.
don't know
Sure.
how your legs work. It takes a certain type of fitness just to pedal fast
Right.
with
Right.
no resistance, right? Pedaling fast with zero resistance is not free. That takes effort. And if you're not conditioned for a higher cadence, then you're not going to be able to find that gearing going downhill. And you don't want to be
Right.
practicing that for the first time when you're going 30 miles an hour down a hill.
Yeah.
Um, so what I would suggest for you, it sounds like you're very aware of what you could be doing. It's just
Hmm.
kind of a struggle for you.
Yeah.
There's any place that you can train where the hills are not as steep as the one that's by your house,
Hmm.
where it's more rolling hills instead of super steep uphill and super
Right.
steep downhill, it will give you a meteor range of gears for you to play with
Okay.
and
All right.
learn some of the nuances where you can practice what's it like to go up a moderate hill
Right.
in a gear that's easier than I think I should be using.
Right. That makes sense. I can do that. I mean, there are some roads like that around here, but there's tons of bike trails around here. So,
Yeah,
in
and
fact, I'm going to one tomorrow. So,
okay. And rail trails are generally pretty flat because they're old
right.
railroad beds, but the Panhandle Trail where I parked,
Right.
I haven't done a ton of it. I've only just done one section, but where I started, the first 3 miles is uphill. I'm like, why is this uphill? It's
Right.
not
Right.
steep uphill, but it's steep enough that I noticed it.
There's enough of a gradual one. Yeah, that's actually, I'm going out to the Panhandle tomorrow.
Okay, good.
So, yeah. All right.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds like you're doing all the right things. And it also, this is Fig. She's the well-behaved one. Gets Archie worked up. Um, Archie, come here. Oh boy. Oh gosh. Sorry. What was I saying? The other thing, you mentioned this, and I'm not saying that it's not the right bike for you, but I'm sure that you and your husband are different from each other.
Yes.
You may be stronger than him or faster. He may be stronger or faster. I don't know.
Right.
But a bike that's perfect for, I'm just going to make up, my friend Joella's son, Zach. Zach is
Mhm.
24 years old. He probably weighs 210 pounds. He's got, shoulders like a football player. He's got legs like a cyclist. He's just a big, muscly guy.
Right.
This bike is geared for him, right? It's dialed in
Mhm.
exactly what he needs. If I were to borrow Zach's bike and expect it to work great for me on the same course, it won't because I'm a
Right.
different person. So as a smaller
Right.
female, my gearing, and even just when I bought that bike when I used to race road bikes, that was
Mhm.
14, 15 years ago. I'm a different person than I was then. This is not the
Sure.
right, it's not the right bike for me, but I don't
Yep.
spend money on buying a new one.
Right.
I'd much rather just focus on gaining fitness and just, tolerating the hills. So,
Right.
that's another thing. It may have been a great race bike for your husband. You may
Hmm.
be able to take that to a bike shop and ask them, is there a more appropriate rear cassette that you could put on this so that I have
Hmm.
more options for gearing? And that's
That's a
totally
good idea.
valid.
That's a good
That's,
idea. Yeah, I took it over just because I'm like, I'm not investing money until I know if I'm really doing this or not. So,
yeah. Swapping a cassette is a fairly inexpensive way to get something that's more appropriate for you without investing in a new bike. An
gotcha.
inexpensive new rear cassette might be $45.
Hmm.
An expensive one might be $120.
Gotcha.
Um, you can ask, just take it to a knowledgeable shop and
Yeah.
explain your situation, explain your goal. It's my husband's bike. This coach I never met before told me that I should bring it in and ask if there was, something more appropriate. And usually what that
Okay.
means is getting a biggest cog on the back.
Gotcha. All right.
Sometimes sometimes they call them dinner plates. The
Okay.
cogs get bigger and bigger and bigger. So when I'm racing at
Right.
Moraine and I see these people that they look inexperienced just because they're riding like beach cruiser bikes up these hills and they're passing me. But then I look at their bikes and they've got these literal dinner plates in the back. I'm like, "Ugh, I should be riding a mountain bike, but I don't want to ride a mountain bike."
Right. Right. Gotcha.
Yeah. So
All
just
right.
quickly mention some of these things. You don't want to hammer the hills. You don't want to go too hard on interval repeats, Ed. We talked about that. You want to change gears. That's the whole conversation we've just been having. Use your gears. Um, During a race or during training, if you need to walk to get to the hill, you might be better off walking instead of just wasting energy trying to hammer away at a cadence of 30. And if you're struggling to go up a hill, go slower, shift to your easiest gear and slow down as much as you can. That's going to be much better for you than trying to hammer it out and risking falling off on your bike because you can't control it because you're just pushing too hard a gear or you've run out of gears. um Yeah, just kind of summarizing everything we talked about. You've got plenty of time until the upcoming race to get a lot of benefit from just a handful of things. You got 1 or 2 weeks to build some fitness. So try some of those interval workouts for the hills, for the run and the bike. You can simulate it for swimming too. You would just do like a harder interval. You can't swim uphill. You would just try and do intervals faster, like fast 50s are great, hill workouts for swimming. But the majority of your effort should be about improving your skill, which includes learning to pay attention to your body signals, learning to shift your gears, consulting with a bike shop. Can I get better gears for me? Building confidence because you're learning more about what types of things you could do to update or change your training. Um, and then reducing mistakes that you might make on race day by practicing the things you're not comfortable with. We didn't talk a lot about transitions, but changing from bike to run, from swim to bike, practice packing. I put that in there twice. Practice packing your stuff for race day. So you're going to the Panhandle Trail tomorrow, pretend in your mind, tell yourself before you go to bed that I'm going to the race. And even if you don't plan on running afterwards, take your run gear just so you sort of know what it's like to pack all that stuff and bring it. Um, yeah, no need for panic. That is everything I have for tonight. thank you so much for being patient to hang out. This did go a lot longer, but we chit-chatted for a while at the beginning. Anything else that you want to ask or chat about?
No, just thank you again.
You're welcome. I can see the background of everyone's rooms are getting dark, just like mine. So,
Yeah, the dog sleep underneath the chair now.
oh yeah,
He's
they
like,
hear.
he gave up. He just finally said, "I'm going." That was what that was about. That was his.
Got
That's our
it.
bedtime, and that's why he came and jumped on my lap
Oh,
because it was time to go to bed.
got
So,
it.
yeah.
Got it. My dogs recognize my wind down tone of
Mhm.
voice. They're both standing staring at me right now.
Yeah, no, he's got a clock built in like nobody's business. Yeah, I literally just, he knows when I'm getting done with work. He comes over and nudges, and
Yeah,
yeah,
very
yeah,
cute.
yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Nice
Right.
meeting you, Alicia. I
Night.
hope you get a
Nice
chance
to
to
meet
watch
you.
the play, and I hope you can come back next week.
All right. See ya.
Take care.
Bye.